Today on Faith Matters, we're back at it with someone you should know. Joining us, Tim Widmer. I'm Seth Weber, and you're listening to Faith Matters, a podcast designed to help you think biblically in matters of the Christian faith and update you on matters of Faith Bible Church. Today with me, I've got Tim Widmer. Tim, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Great to be here, Seth.
Tell us a little bit about where you grew up, your hometown, your childhood.
Yeah. I grew up in the Spokane Valley, student of University High School.
Okay.
I won't tell you the year I graduated, but it was a long time ago. And come from a large family, have 4 siblings, and very musical family. We love to sing, and yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my background and where I grew up.
Do you have any fun memories from your childhood?
It snowed this morning. I can remember my dad had an old tractor that he would pull us around the neighborhood on the street, okay, in the middle of the night, well, probably 8, 9 o'clock when it was dark, and pull us around on a toboggan or a sled behind this old tractor on the streets. Now, you probably be arrested today for doing that or get thrown in jail or fined or whatever. But I remember that specifically. It was a great childhood memory. But
that's fun.
Yeah, I have a lot of childhood memories that are pleasurable and good.
Nice. So what did you do education after high school?
After high school, I did a couple of things. Right after high school, I worked for a little bit, and then I went, and I was also going to school to Inland Empire School of the Bible, which met at Fourth Memorial. Could throw out some old names that maybe the older folks would remember. But anyway, went there for a couple of years. And then after that, a friend of mine and I that I grew up with at Fourth Memorial, we went to Cape and Ray Bible School in New Zealand and Australia, and we were gone for a year. So that was a great experience. We had lots of great times there with the people and our professors in New Zealand and Australia. And then after that, I went to St. Paul Bible School. Now it's called Crown College. It's in Minnesota. I went there for 2 years. And after that, I came home and finished up my education degree at Eastern Washington University.
Okay.
So to become a teacher.
You got educated all over the place.
I did get educated all over the place.
Nice.
So I squeezed 4 years of college into about 7 years. So something like that.
Very good.
Right.
So tell us what you did after college then.
After college, I met my beautiful wife, Leslie, and we were married in 1979. We got married in August, and September, I got my first teaching job out at Sprague High School.
Okay.
If you've gone to Seattle on Interstate 90, you've seen that cute little town, 37 miles west of Spokane, and I taught there at the high school. So I taught and coached several sports, and we spent 6 years there.
Wow.
And then after that, the Lord took us other places.
So tell us, you said you met Leslie, and tell us about your family a little bit.
We were married in 79, and a couple of years after we got married, we had our first son, and he was born in 1981. His name is Sean. He's married to his wife, Anna. They live in Lexington, Kentucky, and they have 3 kids. And then a couple of years later, we had our daughter, and she is married to Reed Carroll, and he's a Spokane police officer, lives a mile down the road from us, and they have 3 kids.
Nice.
And then 13 years later, we had our little guy that was a surprise, but the Lord blessed us with Travis, and he and his wife Naomi live over in Everett, and they both teach school in the Muckleteal School District and have 2 children.
Wow.
So we have 8 grandkids total.
Nice.
3 of them here in Spokane, and the rest of them live elsewhere. So, yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
8 grandchildren for the price of only 3 kids. That's not bad.
That's not bad
at all.
Right? Possibly one more, but maybe 8 is going to be the number, right?
That's really cool. Tell us how you came to know Jesus.
My folks were very involved at Fourth Memorial Church. That's the church I grew up in. And so from childhood, I remember Sunday school classes and Sunday school teachers, and that poured into my life as a kid. I spent every summer a week and a week in the winter at Riverview Bible Camp. So a lot of people poured into my life. And probably when I was, I would say 7, 8 years old, one Sunday night, our pastor gave a sermon, and it was a challenging sermon on the gospel and your need for Christ. And that night, I went home in the quietness of my own bedroom, received Christ as my Lord and Savior. So that was my salvation experience. And from there, it's just a progressive growth process, becoming more like Christ. So, but I can look back and know for sure that's when I turned my life over to Him.
That's good. That's cool to hear. So how did you guys end up at Faith Bible Church?
When I finished my 6 years at Sprague High School, we sensed the Lord's direction and nudging towards missions. We'd both grown up in families that were very missions conscious, and we had missionaries in our home. Les had missionaries in her home. Her uncle was a superintendent of schools in the Philippines, and so we were very influenced by missionaries that were on the field and came home. Talked about missions. So from our beginning married life, we had talked about maybe the Lord would use us in our gifts and talents that He's given to us on the mission field someplace. And so after 6 years at Sprague High School, I met with, surprisingly, Dave Belch, who was the administrator at Christian Academy in Venezuela. And he said, "Hey, I'm going to be home on a short furlough. Would you like to have lunch?" And I said, "I would love to." So we met at Zips out at Cheney. And I remember him sharing the need for missionary kids teachers. And so we prayed about it. And at the time we were attending Fourth Memorial Church, and Fourth sent us. And at that time, Faith became kind of an offshoot of Fourth Memorial Church, put it mildly. And so we kind of had to, I don't know if the word is choose, but we had to kind of like decide who was going to be our sending church. And I don't know, the Lord just really impressed upon both our hearts that we would choose Faith. And we still have very, very fond connections and memories of Fourth Memorial Church. So they were originally our sending church, and Faith became then our sending church. So that's how it turned out.
Okay, so you're on the mission field. How long were you on the mission field for?
We were with the team for 13 years. 1 year was at language school in Costa Rica, and then 10 years at the missionary kids school teaching. I taught everything from life science to a Bible class to PE to Spanish, beginning Spanish. So just a lot of different subjects.
Do you have any fun memories from
my
being
goodness. Are you serious? Well, we could go on and on, but
go on and on.
It was the perfect environment to raise our two older children. They grew up there, and our son graduated from there. I would say a highlight, just one highlight, was the Christmas Eve and the New Year's Eve, specifically New Year's Eve celebrations in our town. It was loud. It went on all night long. Fireworks. They would set up, they called Old Men of the Year. They'd make these guys out of, stuff them full of fireworks and shirts and pants and head and there are mortars in there and sparklers and things that flew out. And then at midnight, they'd dump some kerosene over it, lit it on fire, and you would stand there like 10 feet away, and the thing would just blow up like a bomb, and things would fly out of it, and people would run, and the town was filled with smoke, and people were laughing, and
oh my goodness,
it was just amazing. And when we came back to Spokane, our first New Year's Eve, our kids looked at us and said, "This is the most boring New Year's Eve we have ever experienced our whole life. It was cold. It was dark. You couldn't go outside." So those are great memories.
That's hilarious.
It's just a different culture, but just a lot of fun.
Oh my goodness.
And then, you had half of the day was light at 75 degrees, and half of it was dark at about 70 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds like a great place to go run around outside. Okay, so you're there for 10 years.
We were.
What brings you back to Spokane?
God.
Okay.
Right. So we left in 1987, had a couple of home assignments, and we returned to live here at 2000. Our older son graduated in 2000, and between kind of the uncertainty where the school was heading and our son being 18 years old, heading back to the States, kind of not knowing what he would be doing, we just sensed that we probably should be here just to help him with that transition. Okay. So the Lord brought us back, and when we came back, my wife is a dreamer. I'm pretty concrete, sequential, and not a dreamer. And she asked me one day, what do you think you'd like to do when we go back to the States? Well, I have my teaching degree. And I said, well, I probably will go and teach school someplace. She said, what would you like to teach? And I said, I'd love to teach Spanish. Well, I don't have a degree in Spanish from Eastern, but I was grandfathered in to teach anything. So I qualified, and with my background and my education in Costa Rica, that gave me good qualifications. And she said, where would you like to teach? And I said, I'd love to teach out in the Meade District. Well, wouldn't you know it, there was a lady that was just retiring, Spanish teacher. So I got a part-time sub position when I got back. And she retired halfway through the year, and it turned out to be a 1.0 continuing contract. It was at Mount Spokane High School, and I spent 20 years there.
Wow.
And they were wonderful.
God's perfect timing.
Perfect timing, and the amount of relationships I built with students there and was able to build for the gospel was just mind-blowing. It was God ordained. Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So when you guys came back from the mission field, how did you get involved at Faith Bible Church, and how have you been involved over the years?
I think we stepped in a little bit with fear and trembling, like where's our spot? Because people move on. And we move on, and so things aren't the same. They can't be. Right. And so it was difficult for us to kind of find our spot. No fault on Faith Bible Church at all. It was just a difficult. Our kids were in a different place. Our older son was in a different place. Our daughter was a junior in high school. We had to find a place for her. We thought it would be great to be at Mount Spokane because I was teaching there, and we found a house to rent. It was in Mount Spokane District. Okay. God worked out all the details. Yeah. So so little by little we just got involved at Faith Bible Church, and now we lead a small group. Meets at the Swanson's house, and we meet on Sunday evenings. So that's been a good use of our giftedness. And then just getting involved in young men and young women's lives who are beginning their marriages, and so we've been able to kind of walk through life together with certain individuals and discipleship and mentoring, and so that's kind of where we're involved. And Les has been involved in women's ministries, and so yeah.
Great. Making disciples, that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Another ministry that I have been involved in here for several years is the Global Outreach Team under Nathan Theory's supervision. So we meet probably once a month, and it's just 5 or 6 men that love missions, that love the Lord, that love to see His word proclaimed globally, and so it's just been it just fits my giftedness to be on this team and to give any sort of input I might have as we see missionaries being launched from Faith Bible Church. So that's been a great ministry to be involved in. I thank the Lord for it.
So does that team, are you guys kind of like giving recommendations to the elders about like who should we send or like how to support the missionaries?
Yes. I mean, we'll give our input, and then Nathan, Brian Wright-Bull will take it to the elder team. And so we kind of work in conjunction with the elders. So, yeah.
Wonderful. What has God been teaching you lately?
I just finished up the books of 1st and 2nd Thessalonians, and I love the verse in 2 Thessalonians 3:5 where it says, "May the Lord direct your hearts to the love of God and the steadfastness of Christ." And I never really had seen that verse before. I mean, I don't recall the last time I've read 2 Thessalonians. And it just jumped out at me, and I thought, what a great verse that God would continue to direct my heart to His love, which is unlimited, and to the steadfastness of Christ. And I look throughout my life and see there are times of maybe some wandering up and down, difficulties in relationships, but through it all, Christ has been steadfast and he has held on to me. So not because I deserve it or I have it all together, because I don't, because he has it all together, and it's because of his perfect love. So that's kind of what he's taught me through the study of Thessalonians.
That's really good. How can we as a church be praying for Tim Widmer right now?
For the past couple of years, actually 3 years, I was a police chaplain, and I did that with fear and trembling, completely outside of my comfort zone. But just sensed after 3 years, I would really like to get involved in some kind of ministry where you build relationships. And being a chaplain, you do for a couple hours, but then, you pray and you move on. And so the Lord's directed me to World Relief, and I have a family with some other people here from Faith, kind of formed a neighborhood team. And the family we work with is from Afghanistan. They've been here a year, and it's just challenging. They don't speak the language. Their daughters, we got them enrolled in the Cheney school district.
Okay.
So the girls are learning English, and the man has had health issues, and it's very difficult because not knowing the language, it's hard. And so I would just pray that I would have steadfastness, that the Lord would give me compassion, that he would help me to look outside of myself, because sometimes it's inconvenient, you get called, like, what am I supposed to do? And I didn't plan on this being in my schedule. So that the Lord would just help me to see that these people need Christ, and there's something bigger going on than my little world. And then just leading the growth group, praying for and leading the guys, the men especially that are in our growth group, that I'd be faithful and be available to them and serve them well as Christ served the church.
Very good.
Yeah.
Are you ready for the speed round?
Am I ready? Bring it.
Cats or dogs?
Neither.
Pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
Pets?
Bah.
Favorite book besides the Bible?
I'm going to say, because I just read it recently, Islands of the World.
Favorite band?
Chicago.
Nice. Favorite movie or TV show?
Hoosiers.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Nice.
Right.
I haven't seen that one, but I've heard of it. Yeah. Like, it's a classic.
It is a classic.
What would you do with the extra time if you didn't have to sleep?
I'd play pickleball.
Just all night?
All night long. If my legs would hold up and I quit pulling muscles, I would play it all night long.
Favorite place to eat out in Spokane?
We like Twigs.
All right. That's the end.
That's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
Tim Widmer is one of these people at Faith Bible Church that you need to know. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Seth. It's been a pleasure.